So is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 woke? Or is it not? I had a conversation with Razörfist to talk about this. So let's go ahead and dive into that in my first collab on this channel. Okay, so Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I'm seeing all over the place. There's kind of, even in the anti-woke community, it's pretty split. Like pretty much 50-50 of people who are saying this is woke and this is not woke.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll talk more about what's been going on with this, but I just want your first impression of this. Do you think it's woke or not?
It seems like it definitely is an attempt to go that way. And maybe, depending on who you believe, they might have intended to go that way with the first game, which was decidedly...
Ooh.
Kingdom Come Deliverance is decidedly based. If you've never played the game, you should. Every other NPC that you encounter, he opens a conversation with the phrase, Jesus Christ be praised.
Wow.
Or, yeah, God be with you.
Okay.
It kind of takes a dim view on the payment of indulgences for sin, right?
Mhm.
The game features Jan Hus, who was one of the pre-Martin Luther figures, who was incredibly important in laying the foundation for the Lutheran Reformation later on. So this is, in short, it's a game set in 15th century Bohemia.
Okay.
That actually looks and plays like it was set in 15th century Europe, right?
Wow.
So, yeah, I don't know if do you remember the controversy around the first game about like representation?
I like briefly read something about that. I didn't see it, about how they wanted them to put in there's no black representation or something like that.
Yeah. They were mad there were no basketball Americans in the cast and everyone was white. So,
when did the first one come out?
2018. Right?
Okay, so it's not like ancient. Okay. So
no,
wow.
exactly. Like it was kind of, I would say wokeness was approaching its peak a little bit in like 2018. You know what I mean? And
right.
It's important to note that because Warhorse Studios, when they were confronted on that, they stood in open defiance of that. They were like, no, we're set in medieval Bohemia. There were no black people there.
Yeah.
So there are no black people in our game. And then they were bought by the same parent company as Deep Silver. So that happened in 2019, right after the first game comes out. So, yeah, there was some kind of, so the big story was maybe Saudi Arabia is mulling over banning the game for getting all gay on us.
Right. So wait, did the first one have gay stuff in it at all? Like actual gay romance options?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
You had like you had one romantic interest, I think, and it ended in marriage. Like it was very
so wholesome. Okay.
I would not say it's wholesome. It's kind of Witcher-ish in that there's nudity and stuff. If you
right.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it was traditional in that sense, but still, you do actually have to court a woman if you decide to pursue the romantic interest. If you're one of those players, then you actually have to present a ring. You have to go get a ring. It's a whole thing. And yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of how it went. And it was only one person, and it was only a woman.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Well,
so that was and they responded to that at the time, like saying like straight up, no. Henry is not your character. He's our character. Henry.
Right. I saw a comment. They were like, so if someone's gay, they're forced to be in a straight relationship. And then the comment was like, you're playing as Henry. This isn't you.
Yeah. So, so after all this pops off just recently, my fellow autists begin combing over the comment section on the Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 videos that they had put up like 8 years ago. And apparently someone asked Daniel Vavra, who is the head of Warhorse Studios, if Henry was gay or if there would be gay romance options, something like, to which he emphatically replied, what? No, he sells propane. What do you mean? Right? He basically did the Hank Hill thing. No, he definitively stated, like, the player's not your own character. He's Henry. And Henry is entirely too Eastern European to be gay, apparently.
Right.
So like I said, they stuck by the first game, has just the one romance option. I think there's maybe one other, I don't know. I haven't played it back to front a bunch of different times, but there's like one marriage option. And it's his childhood sweetheart, no less. You meet her at the beginning of the game. Yeah, you save her at the beginning of the game, I think. And then long down the road, you have an option to marry her. And they stood by that.
See, that's the thing that's crazy to me is when these companies will like stand against the woke people, and then in a next installment, they pander to them after they already made all the woke people mad. And so then all of the anti-woke people, you just want to make them both mad now because the woke people are still going to be mad about what happened with the first game. And then now there's this, and that's kind of crazy to me. But in terms
Did you see his reaction at all? Like any of that stuff?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, so Daniel Vavra, who's very active on social media and usually pretty based,
Okay.
He initially ignored it, and finally, after all the noise popped off, he just steps all the way in it. He cries, he claims he's being canceled by both sides. Before you know it, he's up to his armpits in feces. And of course, that did absolutely nothing to assuage our anxieties. And so that's really kind of where my take was. Like a week ago, I was asked about the story before there were more developments. And that was kind of my takeaway was Daniel Vavra really shouldn't have said anything, honestly. Like if they wanted to have this in the game for whatever reason, and we're still kind of unclear on exactly what form this takes, then Daniel Vavra really should have said nothing because he made it 1,000 times worse. Because now people are speculating, like, what is this, like a gay bathhouse? What is this, like a gay club? What's this?
My thing is, it's just like, because people are like, is it woke? Is it not woke? I say if there are gay romance options, that's an automatic woke for me. Because when you're promoting something unnatural and immoral as a normal thing, I mean, again, that depends on how I guess there could be a way that they could portray it that, hey, this is wrong, but I doubt that's going to be the case based off what he's saying in their policies on their Steam boards about no bigotry against the homosexual and transgender community and all that. But
which I heard today they reversed.
Oh, did they?
Just today I heard this, that they reversed their policy on the Steam forums or whatever, and said, basically released a statement saying, be nice. Like that was it.
Just be nice.
Okay. Like that was essentially it. But of course, Steam, like, so they start banning people on Steam. That's a big thing.
Right.
And then Reddit got involved.
Oh, not Reddit.
Right? So someone asked Warhorse on their official Reddit in some Q&A why in the first game Henry doesn't touch pee-pee. Sorry.
No, that's amazing. That's hilarious.
To which I would love it if he actually asked it in those words too. To which at what point, whoever the social media manager is, who by the way should be fired, like should have been fired.
Oh yeah.
They replied, like, just guess how they replied. Seriously, what did they say for why Henry doesn't touch pee-pee in the first game?
He's in the closet and they need to throw a parade for him first.
You're so close.
Really?
No. Actually, no. Budget restrictions. That's
budget. Oh, we couldn't animate another PP. Only had enough budget for one PP.
We only had the budget for one ding-a-ling. Sorry. So a total contradiction of what Daniel Vavra and his explanation on YouTube 8 years ago, where he just said Henry is your, like, can I just say, like, as you alluded, is there a single gaming controversy in the history of human civilization that was ever improved by Reddit? Like, ever?
Oh no.
Why?
Oh my goodness, no. If Reddit is happy with you, then you're probably doing something wrong. If you then talk about whatever the controversy is and not get their post taken down, yeah, you're probably doing something wrong.
No kidding. And in a post-Gamergate society, like, how is it even possible publishers have not realized opening a subreddit is like the dumbest decision since like opening a reverse mortgage or something. Like, it's like opening a 24-hour liquor store. You're just asking to have a shotgun shoved in your face at some point. You know what I mean? So sure enough, it made it 1,000 times worse, is all I was saying.
Okay, yeah. So just my kind of trying to understand about this is going back to half the people saying, oh, it's woke or it's not woke. And I think that when it comes to, because there was also another conversation by someone from Phantom Pulse who was like, hey, if a game, like specifically asking Christian gamers, if a game has gay sex scenes in it, but they're optional, do you not play the game at all, or do you still play it? And there was like obviously that's gonna look different for different people, but for me, that's where I draw a line at a hard no personally. That's what I was with like Baldur's Gate 3, because I was like, okay, this actually looks like an awesome game, but because of the gay crap and the bear, I was like, I just can't. Even if it's optional and just knowing it's there, I can't do it.
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's absolutely dumb. That's what I don't like about Baldur's Gate 3 is, and it kind of is germane to this, is it's not, at a certain point, you're basically sacrificing in a weird way the designer's vision. Because, like, I could see some of the characters in Baldur's Gate 3 being gay and it being true to their character. Right. There's some that are foppish. One of them sounds like Milo. Love you, Milo, by the way. Love Milo. That is not an insult. Not an insult. we both love Milo, but kind of has that accent and affectation and whatever. And it's like, oh yeah, and he's a vampire, so I could see him being.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like anime does this a lot, where it's like, okay, here's a character that's kind of flamboyant, and you just in the back of your mind is like, oh, he's probably but you don't. Yeah. But because it's not like, oh, they're not showing him participate in those activities, they're not like glorifying it or anything like that, then it's not a huge deal. But if there's like straight up gay sex scenes in, I'm just count me out with that.
Some characters you would think would not be down for it, right? And so it would be truer to their character to say, no, what are you, a freak? I'm gonna go burn you alive. You know what I mean? Like, it's just wild, especially because fantasy games a lot of times will have these thinly veiled analogs for bigotry and stuff. And so it's like, I hate mages, I want them all to be burned alive, blah blah blah. But boy, am I ever big on that bathhouse scene. Boy, I'm big on.
That's the thing. If these games added a character, because like they'll put some in that are deliberately racist against orcs or this or that. But if they put in a character that was just like, I don't get those gays out of here, they're disgusting, people would love that character. That's why they don't do it, because they would be clipping all of their bigotry, and they would be like, based. Wow, this character is so based.
Yeah, which did happen with the first game. So
and
it kind of dovetails into like my primary complaint, which is, you're basically taking your own lore, your own established world, and your own prior explanation for why Henry was not down with the glory hole scene.
Right.
And you are saying you're flipping that. Like, apparently now we've just it's a retcon. That's what it is, right? I mean, apparently between games, before Alex Jones could stop him, Henry drank the same water that turned the frog.
Oh no. No.
He drank the gay frog water. Now he's wearing vinyl pants and listening to Europop and frosting his hair. Yeah, absolutely. So.
Oh my. Well, I'm interested to see how they try to do damage control, because they've made people mad on both sides of the aisle. So that'll be interesting.
Exactly. So, but it's just those kind of retcons. A retcon for any reason is dumb, right?
I agree.
You look at all the people mad because the Star Wars expanded universe got written out of existence, right? And that's a pretty benign, because there's not a whole lot of socio-political stuff involved there. Well, now there is with Disney, but there wasn't initially, right?
Right.
But now the retcon is, I guess in the first game, he's an agoraphobic homosexual. He couldn't come out of the closet. So we're just going to make him a new character
Wow,
they're not only upending their own continuity, they're upending the medieval Christian framework of the original game, and their explanations are just completely insincere. So that's kind of where we're at this point. They had this giant dumpster fire on Steam, and I'm sure you've caught wind of some of it. Like, when did you first hear about all of this?
I just heard about this, like, I don't know, was that last week? Whenever that was making rounds about, well, Saudi Arabia saying that it was an unskippable scene, and apparently it's not actually, but that's what they were saying, and that it was going to be banned there. So I saw all of that, and that's when it first came on my radar, because I didn't really know anything about this series at all before that. So
it's tough. I saw a little cutscene or little screenshots of cutscenes where it was like you and Hans Capen, who's kind of a princeling, who you had a bromance in the first game. Like it was Lethal Weapon. He was Danny Glover and you were Mel Gibson, right? So so that was the thing. Now you're, hey, by the way, I want to see your butt. Like, what?
It's like, oh no, that's the thing about these kind of, because society's gotten all gay, then now whenever you have characters that are just friends, it's like they want to retcon lore from like ancient stuff, like Lord of the Rings. Oh, Sam and Frodo are totally gay, and it's like, man, you can't even have two guy characters that are close friends, or two girl characters, because everything's gay now. And
and they retcon all of it. That Lord of the Rings thing is really blatant, because it was not only supposed to be emblematic of like two really good friends, but there was an element of, he had been inspired by World War I. J.R.R. Tolkien actually talked about this. He was inspired by the sort of officer relationship between like the officer and his troops or whatnot, and there was kind of this sort of devoted bond that developed between them. I forget what the officer and his second, essentially. And so one was expected to take care of everything. The officer was expected to be vigilant and give orders and execute his duties faithfully. And it was very like Frodo was the officer and Samwise was the second. And that was the idea there. And one was not disrespected just because he was subservient to the other. Now, now apparently it's catcher and pitcher. That's how that works.
I guess so. Which, I mean... I better not play around with this lore. I was trying to figure out who would be who, but then it's like, too much ammo. Too
much. When are you getting your moderatorship over on Reddit?
I know, my goodness. But anyway, is there any? Okay, so as somebody who has played the first Kingdom Come Deliverance game, is there anything that they can explain that would make you want to go ahead and play this second one?
At this point, no. I didn't pre-order it, and I'm so glad I didn't. I gotta be honest, because it didn't belong there. It belongs there, and there's a little bit of a controversy too, where they kind of back down on having NBA Americans in the game too.
Did they add the basketball Americans?
Yes, there's a Harlem Globetrotters game breaks out in the middle of it. Yeah, no, it's like a wise man from Arabia or something, like there's a Saracen or a Moor or something in the game, and he takes the time to give like a cultural lecture. Oh, we treat our women much better than yours. Right? It's that
of course.
So that's kind of an additional element. I completely forgot about that actually going into this controversy.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's an added element. So to me, they're just backing down on everything the first game stood for, and it's pretty obvious. Look, we're seeing right now the last waning gas with games like Concord and Dustborn and all this garbage. Games that were made during COVID.
Yep.
Games that were made using that COVID, ESG, DEI money that people were throwing around. And all that money came with strings attached. And we're just now getting to the point where the last of those games are going away. And it's really, really sad to realize that maybe Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, the sequel to such a based game, and you should play the first game, by the way, is sadly, it has succumbed to this syndrome. Really, really sad.
It's gone woke. And in Trump America, people are over it now. They're like, okay, this is gone. Even on TikTok, I'm seeing all these Gen Zs who are like, done with the pronoun stuff now. Not in Trump's America. Like, everybody is over it.
If I may swear via quote, everything woke turns to shit.
Exactly. So look what happened. But there you have it.
There it is.
Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, looking pretty woke.
Right.
Razörfist is checked out, guys. So let us know in the comments if you are, if you're going to give this game a chance.
Yeah.
But
she will, of course, be buying it day one.
Oh, yeah. Day one. I'm going to play it between this. I've got to get the Baldur's Gate 3 fornication with the bear. Like, I needed to get to that first, and then we'll get to this.
I didn't realize they had those kind of bears. That's odd.
Yeah. I mean, but anyway, thank you so much for the first collab I've done on this channel. Thank you so much for being a part of that.
Yeah, I'd love to do it anytime.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch you next time. In the meantime, go boom.